Hey, what's going on, guys? I hope everyone's safe and staying at home if they can. And since you're staying at home and, you might be looking for something to do, I want to go over the various pieces of evidence supporting my theory as to how Tuwai's evolutions are going to work. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm the first person to come up with this theory, but it was something that I came up with while making the table from the video last week. In this video, we're going to explore how many evolutions Tuwai will likely have and what types each is most likely to be. So, first things first, Tuwai is described as being a meta-mimetic Temtem. In other words, it has the ability to evolve based on its environment. I made a video going over it in length a couple months ago, so feel free to check that out. I'll leave a link to it in the description. Currently, Tuwai has only one known evolution, and that being Tuwai, its crystal and wind type evolution. Due to this fact, many speculate that Tuwai will evolve into a mental wind and a melee wind to parallel the types of the starters. I've seen this theory thrown around quite a bit, and I have to say it's lacking evidence heavily. The only piece of evidence that people use to support this claim is that Tuwai is crystal and the starter type crystal is crystal, and since both are crystal type, therefore it'll have 3 evolutions to match the 3 starters. I do kind of understand where this line of reasoning comes from, but it's a very narrow-minded assessment in my opinion. First of all, it likely assumes 3 evolutions due to not only the 3 starters, but because Eevee from Pokemon originally had 3 evolutions, and since Temtem is inspired by Pokemon, it must be the same. The theory that I'm about to go over isn't exactly concrete on itself and does make some assertions and assumptions, but I do believe it's compelling enough given what we have so far. So let me just come out and give it to you. I believe that Tuwai has 6 evolutions, 1 for each island. Now I'm going to break down how I and many others have come to this conclusion. First things first, let's look at how Tuwai evolves in Tuckma. You take it to the Crystal Shrine. The immediate response I could see people coming up with is that the first 2 islands don't have shrines. And that's actually not the case whatsoever. In Denny's, the first island, there's a cave called Aqua Marina Cave, which has a rock climbing area near the Oshera spawn, where this NPC specifically mentions that there's something atop the waterfall and you should bring your Tuwai. It doesn't get any more blatant than this. In Anak Volcano, there's also 2 climbing portions, one of which similarly mentions some sort of legendary creature living at the top of one of them. This isn't as blatant, but it's definitely quite suspicious. Now let's look at Tuwai's spot in the Tempedia. It's listed as 130 and Tuwai is 133. If Tuwai's a 3rd evolution based off of the 3rd island, then my assumption is that the Agua Marina and the Anak Volcano evolutions will be 131 and 132 respectively. Furthermore, the Tempedia is empty, not counting Tuwai, between 131 and 136. With 137 being Kinu. So we know the maximum amount of evolutions we can possibly get prior to any sort of DLC is 6. It's also very likely that each evolution of Tuwai will be based on one of the 2 types of each island's theme. Tuckma is crystal and toxic themed, and Tuwai is crystal. Using what we know about each island, we can actually break down the most likely types that Tuwai will evolve into. So before I do, I just want to once again go over my reasoning for this theory. So number 1, so far it seems that every island has a shrine associated to it. Number 2, numbers 131, 132, 134, 135, and 136 are all empty slots, and 133, being Tuwai, can also represent its 3rd evolution and thus the 3rd island. Number 3, the amount of empty slots and islands match up. And number 4, meta-mimetic seems to imply a vast number of differences, so 3 seems somewhat underwhelming at best. With all that being said, we're definitely missing some pieces of the puzzle, but I do think that at best this theory is right, and at worst it's at least a great thought experiment and something to speculate about. Anyways, let's continue. As you all may know, each of the 6 islands focus on 2 types, making for 12 in total, the same amount of types that exist within the game. Of the islands, we've explored Dennis, which chiefly focuses on wind and water types, Amnesia, which focuses on nature and fire types, and Tuckma, which focuses on toxic and crystal types. For number 131, aka Tuwai's Denzian evolution, out of the types that appear on this island, I'm gonna have to confidently say it's probably gonna be a wind and water type. Dennis focusing on water and wind pretty much leaves no room for speculation here. Plus, a mono wind evolution for Tuwai would be pretty basic and downright boring. Not to mention the fact that the shrine spot is on top of a waterfall in a water cave. Doesn't get any more watery than that. One thing they could do to make it stand out is have it ice themed, as water and ice share the same type in this game, but either way, I'm gonna have to go with water being pretty much confirmed at this point. For the Amnesia evolution, my theory is basically based off of the potential area for the shrine, that being in the volcano. We'll have to wait until we retrieve the crystal skates once again to even get back in there, and then the mountain climbing gear, so we're not exactly sure how long it's going to be until we get that. We know we're getting the mountain climbing gear in Kisiwa, but the crystal skates retrieval could be as far as the 5th island for all we know. I do believe it's going to be a wind-fire type though, since it's in the volcano. As for Tuckma, we already know that Crystal made the list, so we don't really have to dwell on that. As for the other 3 islands, we actually do know what each island will focus on in terms of types thanks to the Kickstarter, as well as the Temtem wiki. I also touched on these in the roadmap video, but I do want to do a more in-depth video for the potential of each island, but that's for another day. In short, the 4th island, Kisiwa, is focused chiefly on Earth and neutral type Temtem. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say a neutral evolution is impossible, but I think it's much more likely that we're going to get a desert shrine to match the Earth type theme of the island. I mean, to be honest, what would a neutral wind type even look like? I mean, Tuwai could already fit that theme if they wanted to attach the neutral type to it, and no one would even bat an eye. Things get a little more complicated moving forward with the 5th island. Sipaku, or however you pronounce it, focuses on electric as well as digital type Temtem. Now, most people disregard digital as what the heck would a digital shrine look like, but I have to ask, what the heck would an electric shrine look like? Arbory is a very metropolitan type island, so I think that Tuwai might end up evolving differently on this island than the others, if I'm being quite honest. I'm kind of leaning towards digital because I could see someone at Nanto Labs offering you to upgrade your Tuwai or something similarly to how you selected at the Crystal Shrine, but it really could go either way. I think a digital bird, perhaps based off of a Dret or a drone, would be pretty cool though. The last island is Arbory, which focuses on mental and melee types. This again could go either way, but my gut's kind of telling me mental because the university is likely going to play a major role, and perhaps Tuwai might evolve in a library or something. But my heart tells me melee and wind because that would look sick. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at and where I'm currently standing on the whole Tuwai evolution thing. I'm pretty confident that this is how it's going to play out, but if I'm wrong, I'm sure Kreml will still do something really interesting with it. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on the whole Tuwai situation. What types do you think we could see, and what sort of methods of evolution other than shrines do you think will occur? Don't be shy to give your thoughts. Until next time, guys, peace.